this whole crew coming together as a unified thing. Where do you see MVP going, and what are the hopes for MVP, especially in the dancehall world?
Everyone I do, you know. Is an answer, not about greatness, is an answer. As the father said, very talented individual said. Just expect greatness, is an answer.
Let's watch our one, man. You see? Yeah, it's something. Artists one of those who says get up and war against each other. So at the end of the day, I don't know if you have step to one of our friends and you have to go step to it up. So that's how the thing said. You get the dog said, you have a couple dogs that dead for you.
Yeah.
I want to attack Pitbull.
It was on December 14, 2014 at Amazuri nightclub in Queens, New York that fans witnessed a pivotal moment in dancehall history. For the first time ever, Movado and Alkaline performed at the same venue. The event was called Darkness, headlined by no other than Movado, the Gully God himself. But this wasn't just another show. Movado made a bold move that night. He personally invited Alkaline to perform alongside him. At the time, Alkaline was one of the most talked about new acts in dancehall, young, controversial, and mysterious. Movada and Alkaline shared a mutual friend, DJ Frost, and there was already a growing level of respect between the two artists. As Movado said leading up to the show, we decided to bring with us one of the hottest artists in dancehall right now, Alkaline. The people want to see him. His fans are looking forward to his arrival in New York. For Alkaline, this was his first ever performance in New York, and this first time he was sharing a stage with a certified legend like Movado. That night was a memorable night, and it left fans with more than just memories. But the thing is, what most people didn't realize was that this was more than just a show. It was the beginning of a connection that would later manifest into MVP, Movado, Vendetta, and later Patriots. That Amazori stage became the foundation of what would grow into a movement that dominated conversations and sparked endless debates among fans and critics alike. A little after that, around 2015, a young artist was starting to make some serious noise, Jamil, with hit songs such as Gain the World, Stronger, True Colors, that was beginning to resonate with the people. His message, voice, and consistency was setting him apart from the rest. And it wasn't long before he was introduced to Movado. Through mutual respect for each other and shared values, everything was starting to fall into place. However, before the MVP collective, they were just friends who respected each other and had a common goal. But it wasn't until around 2017 when Jamil released a diss track for version.
What kind of blood clot chihuahua? Tell them bad dog. Pitbull. Man always have a clip full. Take which style, get which fight. Bumbo boy get the facts right.
It wasn't just about lyrical warfare. Allegiance were being formed with lines like Wado unschooly, none no smart, gully data say fi kill you, just like your boss. When he said just like your boss, he's referring to Popcorn, because Popcorn, yes, the version was basically seen as being aligned with Unruly. Now, Jamil made it very clear with lines such as MVP, most valuable players, in other words, Movado Vendetta Patriots. Shortly after that, they had dancehall fans rushing to social media. People are saying dancehall have a new group MVP. Now on March 25, 2017, at Alkaline's New Rule event, Movado, Jamil, and Alkaline officially shared the stage together among other artists. But this was special because this was the first time all three artists performed at the same venue, which contributed to why New Rules was a successful show and a game changer in the dancehall scene. In the history of dancehall, we've seen the great things artists could achieve when they were together as a group, such as the Alliance, which included Movado, Bounty Killer, Vibes Cartel, Idonia, Busy Signal, and more. Even after the group, went their separate ways, they all had great individual careers. And when you look at it, Vibes Cartel went and started his Gaza Portmore Empire, Movado Gully Side, and Idonia with his Fort Jenna camp. And the consistent thing was artists bringing their own craft and unique style together, and also the groups also helped grow younger artists and bring them onto the scene, which gave dancehall its best times. Now, with the MVP group performing, it gave dancehall fans a nostalgic feeling, with some, including me, saw it as Movado and Alkaline challenging the Gaza Empire after the New Rule show. The group went ahead to do more shows together. Now, the thing is, like almost every music group, we would start to see some problems.
A triad of Movado and Alkaline, along with Jamil as the junior and now departed partner. Can you finally put that in context and tell us what happened?
MVP are just the past, man. You see me? Focus on my team, focus on Patriots. Patriots stands alone, you see me? And that are that.
Everybody still talks?
No, not that. What was the issue?
Perceived as your regular music alliance, that wasn't really the case. MVP mostly beneficial. MVP was mostly beneficial for Jamil's career, that's what I think. And Alkaline and Movado, they already cemented their name in dancehall as columns in dancehall, and they were great in their own right. Movado and Alkaline had major cult-like fan bases, but MVP was supposed to be a combination of fan bases, but it was more like a combination of enemies, if I'm being honest. Jamil's allegiance with them brought him more shows than he could pull independently, which was an advantage to him. But they were barely dropping music together as a group. They only did like one song, which was Jealousy, and this allegiance wasn't really benefiting Jamil. I mean, as I said first, it was benefiting Jamil's career in terms of shows because they were doing shows together as a group. But I guess you could look at it as saying, was it really beneficial to him like later on? Because if they're just doing shows together, they're not doing any music together. I mean, for Jamil, I mean, as a dancehall fan, I think they could at least do an album with Jamil, like a joint album, Movado, Jamil, Alkaline together on an album, a body of work where we could just see how each artist brought their unique style to the music, to the songs, which I think all dancehall fans would love. But I guess, as I said, the main common thing, consistent thing with this group, the only consistent thing was they were doing shows together, you know? And as I said, I think they could have at least done an album with him, a joint album. That would have been something the fans would want to see. It would move from just doing shows to music. And also, I think Jamil would have benefited much better from that. Not saying Jamil wasn't a good artist. or he was struggling, but it wasn't contributing much to his career other than being on shows with them, which was the end goal of the group. And I think he was starting to realize that, and I think that Jamil thought he would be a part of something more meaningful to his career, and things probably weren't going as expected. Now, MVP was a business partnership. While every artist did a focus, while every artist did basically a focus on their individual career. I mean, this partnership wasn't going anywhere. They weren't charting. They mostly did US shows. They stopped dominating conversation, and they were seen as a rival camp to Gaza, which affected promoters, producers, and artists who would want to work with them or even join them. It wasn't serving anybody's best interests. Alkaline brand wasn't going to help anyone because this is a brand that we're talking about, or as Alkaline as a brand, what it represent. He hardly does features, always out of the public eye, too busy being mysterious and offline. Movado, on the other hand, was mostly in the US and mostly focusing on his individual career and started to focus on other things, with the trial with his son, but it's good now his son came off free and everything. But I'm saying this to say there was different things going on with the heavy hitters in the group, which would be Alkaline and Movado. They were both doing their own stuff, and it was mostly in the US. They didn't spend much time in Jamaica, which I feel like as a group, as an alliance, there has to be some local anchor, you know? So, say this to say the things that they were focusing on, they didn't have anything to do with MVP. And then Jamil, who was working on setting his legacy and impact in the genre, who, as I said, had the least game from MVP in the later part of it. MVP could have been something greater. It had potential in the early parts, but it was just a group of artists who had the same enemies that came together to go against them. They did some shows, ran with the narrative a little, and that was it. Nothing serious at all. Tell me what you think in the comment section. You think their fall could have been prevented? Please like and subscribe.